to the glory hole.
Welcome to a very special episode of The Hole. I am Rob Sprance, and we are joined by Sean Avery, master of Mayhem, the ex-New York Ranger. Welcome, Sean. I'm so glad
Hey,
you're
man.
with us.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, so I've been very pumped for this. I'm a big-time fan of the Rangers, and you know, one of the things that I was telling you, I'm listening to your book, which is fantastic, and then I'm reading it a little, and then I'm listening, and like I was telling you before, you've been in my head and in my speakers all week, and it's a lot to listen to, but yet I'm into it the whole fucking time.
Yeah, I mean, so the whole audiobook experience is, it was fucking painful. You know, because I said, they sort of give you the option, like, do you want to do it yourself, or we'll hire somebody? And when they said that to me, I was like, I don't really know if I could, you know, some like buttoned up dude
Yeah, who the
gets
fuck
into
would
the
do
booth
it?
and he
Like
starts
James L.
reading
Jones
this. They just it couldn't, you couldn't have somebody else do it. So I was like, all right, fuck it, I'm gonna do it. So I showed up the first day, and nice guy, like super nice guy. The tech was actually, or so they have two people in the booth with you. There's one guy that is running the audio, and then there's your editor, who he basically, like, he's so far up your ass the whole time to make sure that you don't miss a word.
Oh, so it has to be like right on.
Yeah, word perfect,
Uh-huh.
commas. Like, there's a real skill to it.
Mm-hmm.
What he says to me at the beginning, he's like, all you have to do is just keep reminding yourself that you're telling this story to a guy in a bar.
Okay.
So just think that there's a guy beside you, and you're
telling the whole
just
thing.
telling him this story. So I'm like, okay,
You
no
could have
problem.
made it a chick at a bar. You could have made a little.
Yeah, right. That would have, yeah, a
Really?
couple of chicks.
Yeah, really.
So I start, and you know, I'm a little bit dry, and I got to warm up. I got the hang of this thing. By the 2-hour mark, I was like literally fucking losing my mind, because you're in a booth, you know, you're in a little sound booth. I don't know, it's 3x3.
Oh, geez.
It's hot as fuck, right?
You know, it's hot. They're
Like,
all I'm
smells
hearing
funny.
is myself talking the whole time. Then I got this guy kind of up my ass, like every time I miss a word, which it's tough to read a book without missing a word every 3 sentences.
Yeah.
Or saying a word, you know, just having a misstep.
For most of us, it's tough to read a book, period.
Right.
So I
Well,
get
me
it.
too. Me too. So the first day I lasted, I hit the 4-hour mark. Normally people come in and they hire guys and they bang these things out in 2 or 3 days.
Mhm.
Took me 16 days to do this fucking thing.
But you actually can hear you getting more comfortable as
Right.
it goes, but that's a lot.
Right.
So would you basically do like a chapter and change it?
Yeah, I would just, it got to the point where, like, if I really wanted to put my all into it, where as you start reading, you can see and feel that I'm getting a little bit better.
Mm-hmm.
That was because I would come in, I'd be fresh. I'd do like an hour, maybe 2 chapters, and then I'd be out.
Yeah, keep your.
And that was the only thing that I just couldn't do it.
And there's so much, like, you know, I learned a lot about you in the book. I mean, that's the point. But I learned a lot about you that I didn't know, and just, you know, you've talked about how there's this character of you, and then there's this real you.
Yeah.
And one of the things that really struck a chord is that the reason why you started doing what you were doing is because the league was getting bigger, and these guys are like 6'3", 6'4", and you're trying to make a name for yourself at first. So before you got to the pros, were you agitating the whole time, or did that come later on? Like, did that become what you wanted to do?
No, I mean, there's a good story. I have, there's 2 stories. The first time I ever really got in trouble, or the beginning of all the trouble, my mom, she got a phone call. She was at work. She said, you know, Sean's in trouble. You got to come down to the school. So she comes down to the school, and I had a kid that was deaf in my class. This is grade 1. And we call it grade 1 in Canada. I don't know. It's the same
we have
thing.
grade
here.
one.
Call it first grade.
First grade. I was
You
in
use
first,
the metric system, but in this case,
I was in
it's-
first grade, and I had a deaf kid in my class. So I guess apparently I didn't believe that he was deaf. So I kept yelling in his ear to see if he would break. You know, I was like, fuck this. I don't believe this kid's deaf.
early practice.
So that was like the first that was me kind of warming up. And then, I don't know, when I was 14, I remember we played we used to play in these summer teams where they'd take like the best players in Southern Ontario and put us on a team. And we were in a tournament in Prince Edward Island, which it's a fucking island in the Maritimes. There's a bridge. You have to take a bridge to get to it. So we play this tournament. In the final game, everyone in the arena wants to kill me. The parents, by the end of the game, the parents are like literally squared off in the stands and fighting. I get kicked out of the game. There was these two brothers on the team we were playing. We were playing Nova Scotia All-Stars, the Bishop brothers. And they were like the guys that, there's always those guys on the team where they hit puberty early and they're like fucking
huge,
4 feet taller than everybody.
Yeah, and they're like ringers almost. Yeah,
right. These were these two guys, but they were brothers. They were twin brothers. And I came up behind the one brother after a whistle, and I just fucking baseball swung, like hit him in the back of the leg. Which I remember because it was early when you had the graphite sticks they were still aluminum.
Okay.
And
then you had to put the blade in.
Right. So I bent the aluminum. Normally you would just do that and it would snap right off. I bent the aluminum. And the problem was, after the game, both teams were taking the same ferry back to so like the fucking parents had already all fought. So they had to put me in the captain's booth with the captain that was like, driving the boat over. So I was 14 at that point, and from that point on, it kind of just continually got worse.
Continued.
Yeah,
because there's a lot of you watch the clips before you. So here's what I did with the book. I was dying to get to the New York part because that's the part I live.
Yeah,
like the first time I really knew who you were is when you came here, and then you watch clips. When anybody gets traded to the Rangers, you watch clips, and it's usually highlights.
Yeah.
So I see you doing the push-ups after the goal, and I'm like, and it wasn't until I read the book that I understood why.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna ask you to explain that, but there's a lot of little things like that about you that when you understand the whole story, it makes a lot more sense.
Yeah, no, that's funny because I'm not thinking about that when I'm writing it, right? Like I don't think that you're gonna piece this whole thing together way after the fact by watching clips. So that's interesting to me, but I don't. Yeah, you wouldn't know. So I obviously in the book I tell the story behind it. We had a coach in LA, this fucking guy Andy Murray, who was like, I talk about it in the book, the weirdest dude that I have ever met. I mean, he had a wife that she didn't live in LA with him. He lived in a hotel. He didn't swear. First of all, a fucking professional sports coach that doesn't swear it just doesn't work.
Yeah.
I mean, you're walking through literally an environment where every second, third word is like fuck, pussy, cunt. Sorry, pardon my French.
She says it more than you do. Don't worry.
Asshole. I mean, motherfucker. Everything is a swear word. Saying hello to somebody is like there's a swear word built into it. So Andy Murray's a real weirdo. He lives in the hotel next to the practice rink. He finally is fed up with us. We're on a losing streak. It's towards the end of the season, and he makes us, we're fucking up a drill. It's a real mess. He blows his whistle and he really lays the hammer down. He says, "You guys fuck up another drill. You're gonna do 5 push-ups afterwards." Like this is,
by the way, 5 push-ups to an
professional.
athlete.
Yeah, I mean, like 5 push-ups. I don't even know. I haven't heard that since I was in grade 4th grade. So we're all kind of like laughing, standing around, is this guy fucking serious? So he starts like calling me out every time we do a drill. I was never great at drills. The worst guy I've ever seen in practice drills, it was Steve Yzerman. He fucked up every single drill. He couldn't process drills in his head.
He didn't need to.
He didn't need to, but hockey is also, it's not a drill game. It's very your sixth sense, and you kind of like work off that. So I was fucking everything up. So he starts making me do more push-ups. He's adding them on. He's adding them on. So I'm like start doing them slower and really like working on my form in them.
Taking it seriously.
But then there was a point like I really started to get pissed off, and so I let it go. And then the next night, I went out and scored, and I did 5 push-ups on the ice, and I've never seen anyone do that in a celebration. And it's so interesting because now no one really knew what the fuck I was doing except the 20 guys on the bench.
Yeah, absolutely.
So yeah.
And it looked like showboating, but where you talk about in the book a lot, you talk about the code. Like there's this code in the league. There's certain things you just don't do. You don't. Like you can go through some of them. I don't want to read your book for you, but
yeah. I mean, the whole there's rules that we understand. Like, by the time you score the 5th or 6th goal in a game, you're not like doing the you're not riding your stick. You're not celebrating too hard. There's some things like that. There's certainly code with the whole fighting aspect where guys know at times that if a guy asks you to fight, you got to fight. And sometimes you have to fight because you're going to be in the same situation he's in 10 games, 15 games down the road where your team's down and you need a fight. And if the other guys in the team won't fight, that kind of fucks you over and you're in a tough spot because that's your job. So that's a code that guys kind of live by, which is a great thing. It's like not really in any other sports do you have something like that. There's a lot in the environment of like just really it all comes down to like being a man and not being a pussy. I think for the most part. And
you didn't want to like a lot of those codes you broke, but you broke them for reasons where it would I wouldn't say advance your career, maybe that's not the right way to put it, but it would give you an edge over other players because at the end of the day, you don't want to mention and keep going back to Cincinnati when you were with Detroit. They kept sending you back to the minors and you were going back and forth. And I got to think the differences from minor league to pro is fucking night and day.
No, it's like living in hell and living in heaven. It's just it.
Not different, yeah.
But the code thing, like for example, so say we're playing New Jersey and it's a regular season game. It's the 3rd of 8 regular season games we have against them, and we blow them out 7-2, and I score the 7th goal. On the 7th goal, I'm going to celebrate like I just won the Stanley Cup because I know that's like I'm banking on the next game and the game after that where they're never going to let that go.
Right. Yeah.
So that was the type of thing where I would do something, and my mindset always was I was doing it because one, I was trying to enhance myself, but enhancing myself always meant that I was trying to enhance the team. It's not like you can't really individualize yourself in a team sport other than making yourself more known, but I don't think that even if in all situations, that's not a bad thing.
Yeah.
And sports has a mindset where like, especially hockey, you kind of stand in line and everybody acts the same. I mean, if you watch a hockey team walk off the plane or the bus, it's literally like you're just watching 30 guys go to a funeral. They're all in a fucking black suit, white shirt, black tie. Yeah. And that's the life. That's, everyone's the same. And then you go into the wives' room and it's the exact same thing. It's like all Eastern European babes, babes with big tits and Louis Vuitton purses. Yeah. And that's the life, like every single place that I went.
Yeah. So it didn't, like, none of it changed. So you do mention, so you got bored off the ice in a lot of ways.
Yeah. I mean, the whole thing, like a professional sports locker room, the conversations are money, pussy, cars, maybe a little bit more food now because of like the Instagram world. I don't know. We mixed in some food conversations. That's it. Yeah. Like that's cool, but still, there's still a lot of shit that you can talk about and interesting stuff in the world. And that was the sort of stuff that used to drive me crazy, where it was like nonstop. Mm-hmm. And then if you were ever interested in anything else, you were sort of this pariah, and you were a weirdo, or you were a fag, or you were a loner. And loners, everyone was always afraid of loners because it was like, well, he's not like us. Why isn't he like us?
Yeah, and you seem to get very annoyed about the whole bad teammate reputation.
Yeah.
Which
Yeah, I mean, that was
piss
something
anybody
that I could never shake. But it was interesting because, like, I talk about it in the book. My closest friends in hockey are, I don't know, I could put like the greatest Hall of Fame team together on the fucking planet. So
Legends.
which you were in. Yeah, you were on the fucking
right,
I
that
mean,
was the first year in Detroit. My point is like I always connected with the guys that were solid, that were like the upper echelon dudes, not the guys that, were great at hockey and then they married their girlfriend from high school and they had fucking 8 kids and they drove a pickup truck and they like shoveled and ate shit and did that whole thing. I don't know. So anytime that I would talk about other things, in their defense, I was a weirdo and I was a bad guy and I was very abrasive, and that never really goes well when you're one of 20 and instead of like 19 of 19.
Makes sense. Yeah, but at the same time, the upper echelon players also probably appreciate more what you bring and how you have their fucking back on the ice versus some of the other guys that, kind of play a similar gritty game or whatever it may be. Like, those guys know if shit goes down, Sean's got my back, or Sean's going to keep this guy off my back and keep him distracted all game. Like, there's a science to that.
Yeah. I think like as the game started to evolve, from like my year 1 to year 12, the salary cap changed the game a lot. Teams, the dynamic, like you only had 1 or 2 superstars or those ballers on a team, whereas I mean, when I played in Detroit, there was no salary cap. I think in 2002 we had a payroll. Our payroll was like 107 million, which was in hockey is fucking crazy,
astronomical. Yeah.
So
I mean, but the names on that team, like, just run some of them off. Just listen to this. Listen to this fucking lineup.
Yzerman, Shanahan, Larry Onoff, Lidstrom, Draper, Maltby, McCarty.
I think Fedorov too.
Fedorov, Brett Hall,
I mean,
Luke Robitaille, Yui Krupp, who was
Great defenseman.
German. He was like a crazy dude.
and that's
Fuck, I don't know. There's more.
So Jack and I were talking about the one thing that I think you definitely lucked out on is the 3 hockey cities you played at are fucking great places to be.
Yeah.
From Detroit just for its hockey.
Yeah.
L.A. because let's see, we'll get to that in a second.
Yeah.
And then of course New York.
Yeah. Yeah. No, the evolution of like Detroit to L.A. to New York was a gift. I mean that was one of the reasons why I stopped playing, because I was like I can't. Like,
where do you go?
Where am I going to go?
I
can't, and I'm not. I would last fucking 2 days in Glendale, Arizona. I just wouldn't be able to live there.
Is that kind of what happened when you went to Dallas? Were you just not you're not digging it?
Yeah.
Because I didn't. Here's one thing that I stopped. Like, all I waited for was the New York part, especially. But I stopped because, like, you know what? Instead, I want to have that New York conversation with you.
Yeah.
But there's so much good shit before we even get to that.
Yeah,
I mean, between the Brett Hall and getting sick.
Oh, yeah.
So can you
I mean, that was the greatest.
Tell these guys this one.
So when I was playing in Detroit, because Detroit was close to Toronto where I grew up, it was like a 4-hour drive. So on the weekends, my buddies would fill the car up and they would come down for the weekend. Like in Detroit, that was a great team, but everybody was married. The only guys that I ran with were Chelios really and Fedorov at times. Mm-hmm. So my buddies would come down. So they come down this weekend. It's like a Friday night we play. We play the game. They come down before the game, but we're already at the rink. So they drop their bags off and meet me at the game. When we go out after the game, we wake up in the morning. I wake up in the morning, Brett Hall's girlfriend, Darcy, who I lived with them like above the garage. It was, it was like kind of
Chachi,
perfect.
yeah.
Yeah, right. The Fonz,
Fonz,
Fonz Jr. So Darcy comes down, and one of Holly's only rules was I always had to have the car started and have like Starbucks ready for him because he was just so grizzled and like always fucking hungover and tired
and you're like, this is fucking Brett Hall.
Yeah, I mean, whatever. I
had
had posters on my walls of him growing up.
Wow.
I actually, just before I finished that, I sent him a letter when I was 13, and he sent back a card signed. So once I got comfortable enough, I said, Holly, like I sent you this letter and you sent me back a card signed. He was like, fuck. Bullshit. He said he had some girl that he put through fucking college, and all she did from the time she was 13 to 17 after school, she would sign these fucking cards and he would send them to people that sent him fan mail. She learned his signature and everything. So that was perfect. So anyways, I got him back with this whole story. Darcy's like, Brett's dead. He's upstairs and he's fucking dead. So I don't know what we're gonna do. So I go upstairs. Holly's like laying on the floor in the walk-in closet. I'm like, Holly, what do you want to do? You want to go to practice, or you want to just call it in? He's like, no, I'm going. He scored 2 goals the night before, so like he always loved practicing after he scored because he could just motherfuck everybody, and
it didn't matter.
It didn't matter.
Yeah.
So he gets in the car. We drive to the rink. He doesn't say a word the whole way to the rink. He goes out, practices. He can barely fucking practice. I get off the ice, and this is 2002, so we didn't have text messages or anything. So I flip my phone open, and I've got like 20 missed calls. So I call my buddy Adam back. I'm like, dude, what the fuck's going on? He's like, man, we got back to the house this morning, and we went into the fridge, and those cookies we brought, there's 2 missing. So I was like, oh, fuck, I know where they are. I ate one of them. I ate half of one of them, and literally I almost had to go to the hospital.
Jesus.
And I knew that I was eating them. So he comes home. Holly comes home after the game. He's feeling hot. He has a couple of beers.
Cookies.
He gets a sweet tooth. He goes into the fridge. He buries 2 of these cookies. And he had not smoked any sort of marijuana for like 17 years.
Holy shit. So he didn't, I mean, and
imagine,
and even if you smoke, like a cookie hits you a whole different level.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And he 2 of these things.
2.
I mean, he literally.
And he still practiced? Like
he practiced. He was so high, he didn't know what the fuck was going on.
Jesus, I don't know how you'd even practice like that.
Yeah.
But you also said in the book you never actually told him. So, like, have you had that conversation
I told
since?
him. Oh yeah, no. I told him
last week.
It was
I told him
yeah.
after I told him a few days after we won the Stanley Cup. He was, I mean, it was as good as he was ever going to feel.
Yeah, right. You waited for the right time. If you didn't win, you probably would have kept it quiet.
Right.
Did you tell him about the champagne?
That I told him.
After you wrote the book?
No, he found out.
Oh, he found out.
Wait, what was the champagne thing again?
I still had the keys
right.
in the summer, so I went down to Detroit for the weekend because, I was 21 in Detroit. It wasn't like me back home in Toronto. I go out in Detroit. It's like I'm like the fucking king of Detroit.
Right,
I'm 21, so I'd go down on the weekends in the summer. So one weekend I'm down there. It was the 4th of July, and I don't know, I bring like 60 people back to the house afterwards from the bar. Everyone in the bar I bring back. We drink the house dry, and there's a lot of booze in the house. And I kind of remember looking over, and everyone's like, fuck, we're out of booze. What are we going to do? There's a magnum of champagne on the counter, and it's been signed by every player from the Stanley Cup winning team. So I kind of just like chuckle, and I'm like, oh,
You're still popping.
fuck it. So we popped it and drank it, and I filled it back up with water, And I remember I like taped the seal kind of back on it and retwisted the thing you twist on it. And the only reason that they found out is because when they were moving back to Dallas, they broke the fucking thing.
Oh.
And
There's no bubbles.
they didn't smell. Darcy was like, I was cleaning it up and it wasn't champagne. So I had to, yeah.
So it was still broke. So at the end of the day, it wouldn't have fucking mattered.
Right.
Yeah. So all right. So I want to get back to the ice because there are so many things that there's parts where you talk about how you would differ from other agitators because you would do research on the players before the game.
Yeah.
So you would do research on like personal stuff so you could really get under their skin.
Yeah. I mean, everybody's played with somebody on the other team at some point on another team.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, I don't know. There's athletes are the biggest like group of fucking gossipers in the world. They're worse than any housewife or I don't know, guy. They're the worst gossipers on the planet. Mm-hmm. All they do is talk shit about each other, especially like guys that they played with so the information is very accessible. If you just listen, you can hear somebody talking shit or telling a story about some other guy they played with and like his wife, his girlfriend. There's always some sort of drama going on. And I would always keep my like ear to the beat of what was happening, and I would just kind of bank information and collect it as I was going.
So the code really would say you don't really bring.
Yeah, I mean that's the one thing. Like, yeah, you don't really hit family. But I always considered family as father, mother, sister, brother. Everything else is fucking fair game. Cousins,
wife.
I don't know, ex-wife, wife.
Right.
So. Actually, brothers and sisters were on the table. It was kids, mom, dad. That was pretty much it.
Okay.
So yeah, I would try and find out whatever I could, and then I would just hit it hard.
Yeah, and which is the look. Okay, so
I mean, Darcy Tucker was like a guy that I used to. When I actually think back on it, man, I fucking abused him so bad.
What did you say to him? Here's the thing, like we never heard what
I
you
know.
said.
As a fan, you always want to hear that
We
stuff.
saw your mouth move, and then we saw fucking chaos afterwards.
Yeah.
So it had to be because these guys yell at each other all day.
Yeah.
So all of a sudden, like, what were you saying?
So Darcy Tucker's wife, she had dated a few hockey players before she hooked up with him, and anytime that happens, it's just game on.
Right.
Like, it's so easy. I mean, you just basically describe his now wife and her every move and porno that she did prior with his former teammate, and you can just see like the guy's fucking skin tone it's going red, and it's right to his eyes, and then his head explodes.
And Darcy Tucker, of all people, who was quote unquote an agitator,
right?
And you would throw him off his fucking game.
Yeah. I could kill him. And then the whole Brodeur stuff, that was just, I mean, it was so easy.
Oh, I've got plenty of time for that. I want to get into
as do I.
So easy.
So yeah, all right. So let's get to New York, and we can go back if we have time, but I really want to get to New York.
Yeah.
So, from a fan perspective, okay, you were so fucking needed. Okay, at the time that you came.
Yeah.
Frankly, you're needed now. You've been needed before and after you're gone. And people who aren't Ranger fans don't really understand that. There's always that saying, like, he's the kind of guy that if he's not on your team, you fucking can't stand him. But if he's on your team, you love him.
Right.
So you come to a team that, Tom Rennie coaches it. They're a good team, but they're soft.
Yeah.
And maybe not, they just don't have fucking bite.
Yeah.
Okay. So I remember that trade, and Jack and I were talking about it like right when it happened. I'm like, fucking A, finally.
Yeah.
So you make an impact fucking instantly.
Yeah.
You start. And that first game was the Devils.
Yeah.
Right? So
describe
your meeting with Marty the first time. Fatso.
I mean, I never thought that this whole thing with Brodeur was ever going to happen. I mean, I remember the play. I kind of, It was the first game that I was playing. I was playing with Yager and maybe I was playing with Yager and Nylander. I don't know. But so I got a pass. I go down the right boards. I make a move on Colin White. It was a pretty good move. I cut to the middle. I go on Brodeur and I sort of bury it in his fucking chest. But I stop up on him and I don't want to run him and whatever. I'm playing it clean. And
especially it's your first game. You don't want to run a
right.
goalie. You don't even know your team.
Yeah. So somebody came in from behind and cross-checked me from behind. They cross-checked me into him. So I stand up like, fuck, that's not me. I don't know who. It's one of your shithead defensemen that just did that.
Wait. At that time, is Brodeur like the best goalie in the league?
Yeah,
he's
even at
he's
that
pretty
time?
good.
He's
yeah. Yeah.
We don't want to give him too.
right.
We don't want to give him too much credit,
no.
but yeah.
Nobody definitely
but
hits
you're
him.
coming on to the Rangers, like that's intimidating, right?
Yeah. I mean, I'll say one thing. Nobody ever hit Brodeur. No one like
not with Scott Stevens on the team.
no, and just you hit Brodeur, like the league's gonna come down on you.
Yeah.
He's the golden boy of everything. Yeah. So he stands up and he kind of gives me a shot, and it's like a fame. I can see the picture, like my head snaps back and my helmet comes off, and then it's just fucking mayhem. And from that moment, something about that, and I've had that happen to me with 50 goalies in the past, but there was something in that moment, and obviously it was probably more of like what was going on in the stands and just that energy.
That was at the Garden, or
it was in Jersey.
Jersey.
In Jersey.
Okay,
but there's more Ranger fans than Devil fans in Jersey.
Yeah, true.
So that was just this like fireball of energy, and that was the moment. And then so then we went on like pretty good run, and so now every time we play Jersey, I see what it does to our fans, and my whole thing was like, the more we get the fans into the game, the better we're going to play as a team. It's just always the way it works, and especially in New York, especially in that building at MSG. So it was me against Marty, and I just kind of I embraced it. Every time I got near him,
I'm not going to let you gloss over this.
I would whisper.
Like what? Like what?
I would fucking whisper. I would blow. It was just all. I just never stopped about him fucking his sister's wife. Every time that I talked to him, it was a different version of like how it went down.
Like what? Like what were you?
I would say terrible things like, who told the kids? Fucking scumbag. like I want to know. And the delivery, would be like, I'm really interested. Yeah. Like, who told them? Yeah.
They should have kept the mic on you the whole time.
God.
So think about if somebody's asking you that, like in the middle of a play.
Especially how calm he's saying it.
Right. And I'm concerned. So
it was
just
always
so
like,
easy.
It was always variations of that.
Yeah.
So I'm at a game. I'm at the Garden. I'm on Marty's side.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm at the game where you get in front of him.
Yeah.
And you fucking start waving your arms.
Yeah.
Which the fans absolutely fucking love.
Yeah.
Because that's the other thing. You made them fun to watch.
Yeah.
Win or lose, I'm going to fucking laugh my ass off when the game's over, too.
Yeah.
And we did. We used to fucking call each other and be like, dude, this fucking guy's a maniac.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
What goes through your head when you do that?
I went to 2 games this year, and literally I said to my buddy Peter Berg, the director, one of the games I went with Pete, and he's like
he's great.
He's a Ranger fan. He loves hockey. I said to him, I'll tell you the whole game now, like no matter what, when you went and saw me play, it might have been a shitty game, but you never fucking knew what I was going to do. There's no question, like, and it could have been a Tuesday night in Nashville, and then I just turned the whole fucking arena upside down. You just never knew, and the game doesn't have that now. No. It doesn't have that element with any player.
Nope.
Yep.
And you can see it in these guys. They're so scared of doing anything. Yeah. There's no individuality in the game. Compare the NHL to football now, currently.
Yeah.
It's a problem. I don't think it's helping the game at
I don't
all.
either.
I mean,
No, it's boring.
They all look the
It's-
same.
yeah.
No, everyone wants to see fights and action, and there's barely any.
Right.
Dude, I watched every game that you ever played on the New York Rangers.
Yeah.
Because I had to.
Yeah.
Like, you were must-see TV.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, and because you could play the game. It wasn't you weren't a
Yeah,
sideshow.
yeah.
You were a great player, and
Yeah.
and you competed so hard, and you wanted to win so bad in this city.
Yeah.
And that's what always burned a hole in my ass is like how they treated you.
The second hole.
You know, yeah,
Yeah.
Well, contract wise, and you know the things that you mentioned in the book, how you know like they brought in all these stiffs, and they were like, you know, Sean, we can only give you so much.
Yeah.
Because we need it for the stars, and those
Yeah.
guys just
Yeah.
Yeah, well, Glenn sort of, that's his kind of MO where he's always been really good. I love Glenn Sather. I love the man.
And
like
you were,
the man.
and you had a
he's
good relationship with Dolan, right? 'Cause
Yeah,
that's kind of what I
yeah.
heard.
I mean, Dolan, in my opinion, is the best owner in sports. I know for Knicks fans and Ranger fans,
I was gonna say
that's tough to hear.
Actually, for Ranger fans, we don't mind him because he does let. Unfortunately, it's
Right,
management, but he
right.
lets them do what they do.
Yeah.
He doesn't meddle like he does with the Knicks.
But from a player standpoint, like, we got the best plane, we got the
Right.
best food, we got the best hotels. They fucking spend money anywhere. Like, it's like, you want something, buy it 10 times over.
Wow.
So as a player, it's the best place to play for
Yeah.
either of his teams. But yeah, no. So I don't even know what were we.
it's dry. The league is dry.
Yeah,
league
the
is
whole
dry,
league.
yeah.
It's boring now. But you were asking me something before that.
We were talking about Brodeur when you're in front of
Oh,
him, when you
okay,
wait.
yeah,
Like,
yeah,
what-
yeah.
So obviously you don't premeditate this, but what
No,
goes
so-
in your head makes you want to do that?
So he started to figure out our whole game, and the one thing that he could do, which I was never going to get the benefit of the doubt, is every time I'd go to the front of the net, he'd fucking tap me on the back of the heels. And for hockey players, the only way that you can really knock a guy off his balance very easily, like, you could just tap it.
Mhm.
You tap a guy in the back of the heels, because the way our skates are rockered, they're rockered, and you just, soon as you just push a guy forward, you lose your balance and you fall and you go ass over tea kettle, and you're out. You're done.
Yeah.
So with me, any time that he would do that, I would fall back, and as soon as I fall back in front of Marty Brodeur, it's like fucking 2 minutes for falling backwards. So
Of
there
course.
you go. Yeah. So, story of my life with refs and penalties. So it was the playoffs, and I'm like, I don't know, we got a 5-on-3. I'm thinking, I can't take a fucking penalty here. I can't. Like, whatever I do, I can't. But I have to go to the front of the net.
Right.
I'm not gonna go up and say, "Hey, Yogs, do you mind if I, run the top of the power play here? Like, why don't you go stand in front of the net here,
It's not gonna
and I'll
go
take
out.
one-timers at you."
Yeah.
So I remember getting off the bench, and just, I can see it clear as fucking day. I was skating directly for the net, and I kind of like me and Brodeur catch eyes, and I can see he's like, "Oh, you motherfucker!" Like he knows I'm coming, and it just hit me. I was like, "Fuck it, I'm not gonna turn around. I'm not gonna turn around." And so I was like, I remember getting to the top of the crease and thinking, "Well, fuck, what do you do?" Because I'm like staring at him.
Yeah. And normally you would turn and face the
Yeah, you
player.
would turn around. So, and then I can see he can just move. So I was like, oh, fuck it. It's all out the window. So I just picked my hand up, and every time he moved, I moved my hand, and I was raising my arms.
You're literally, it looks, I mean, you're following him like,
I mean,
not even playing, just torturing.
Now thinking about it, like, if I had have done that properly, I should have got a millimeter from his fucking face with my hand. I didn't get close enough.
Right.
Because I only had one shot, because I went to bed that night. I woke up the next morning. They changed the rule.
Yes,
They're so
just because of you.
I mean, they're so fucking old school stupid that they actually named the rule after me.
Yeah. And
They didn't even it's like they didn't even make up a name for it. They
Right.
called it the Sean Avery rule. That's
I know.
like a bunch of white dudes sitting around a table going, "Well, what are we gonna call it?"
the shoulder?
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy.
Go ahead.
No, I remember being a fan sitting there watching that game, and I'm like, what the fuck is he doing? It just was so surprising because no one's ever done that before. So
Yeah.
I'm like, what is this fucking guy doing? He's
The funniest thing was what Chris Drury. You can see Drury come over,
Tries to.
and he whispered. He's you see him talking to me. And so Drew came over and he's like, I think Van Massenhoven's going to give you 2 minutes. And I was just like, fuck off, Drew. Don't kill my vibe here.
Right.
Kind of thing. Like I'm all whatever.
Yeah.
We got it. And then we ended up scoring after and
You
And
scored
you
on
scored
him.
I
man.
scored,
You
yeah.
fucking scored.
Yeah.
Like to stick it in his ass too, even better. And the best part of that is, and this is, look, let's take his great goaltending out for a minute. The guy did whine a lot. And he whined in post game. If he lost, he never just said he lost. If he gave up a bad goal, he would blame the lights or something like that.
yeah.
But you can see when you're doing that, he looks at the referee like to help me.
Yeah.
Like he literally turns, like his shoulders go down, and he's like looking like, what the fuck is this?
Yeah.
Granted, we're all saying, what the fuck is he doing?
Right.
But it's phenomenal.
I think
This
that
is hysterical.
I think that series could be the top 3 series maybe ever for Ranger fans. Like I think just from an energy standpoint, the arena, like I've never felt an arena like that. I mean, there were 2 of the home games of that series. The building was literally moving. You hear this that MSG can move because it's elevated. I saw the building move. We were in the building. It was fucking moving,
Yeah.
swaying side to side.
Fucking crazy. And it's lost some of that since they renovated
Right.
it too.
Yeah,
It
a
doesn't
lot of
have
it.
that
A
there's
lot.
not that give to it.
Yeah.
They did a good job with it, but you just can't replicate that building the way it
you
was.
used to be able to walk around and like in the bowl, you
Right.
know, like that was one of my favorite things I used to
Yeah.
love
Yeah.
because you could go anywhere you want.
Yeah.
Now you have to take it outside. It's
Right.
more corporate now.
Yeah.
You know.
No, it changed. But that series, that was pretty special. For sure.
Here's another one that comes to mind where you made a tremendous impact. I've never seen you torture someone over a series, and Marty's up there, but I've never seen you torture anyone like you did Kovalchuk.
Yeah.
In the
Oh,
Atlanta
that
Yeah.
was
series.
great. That Atlanta series.
I mean,
Yeah.
it was literally like you just said, oh, I'm just going to torture this guy.
Yeah.
That's their star, and he can kill a series by himself. He
Yeah.
can win a series by himself.
Yeah, it was just the one thing that you can go after him and Ovechkin that they are somewhat insecure about is that he's fucking Russian and he doesn't have the balls to win. And that was just the whole thing. Like I just nonstop, every time I could get an earshot of him, it was like, you're fucking soft, you're fucking Russian, go home, you'll never win, you're a pussy. That whole thing, and that just like nonstop. And then every time he'd turn around, I'd whack him fucking wherever I could possibly slash him, and it just didn't stop.
Yeah, it did. And you
And he lost it. But when he fucking, the funniest thing about the whole thing, he suckers me in the last game. He finally flips out and he suckers me. He broke my nose. He broke my
shit.
nose in 4 places.
wow.
And it's the hardest I've ever got punched in my life. He's a bull.
As a monster.
Really?
He's like
big dude.
6'3",
Right.
240. I mean, he is
Right.
a fucking tank. I've never got punched that hard. My eyes were watering for literally 3 days.
really,
Yeah.
wow, see that?
Christ.
Yeah.
Maybe
You
not
never,
as much of a pussy as you.
No.
But I mean,
For sure.
for you, like you had one of the top 5 players in the league at the time, in the world at the time, basically chasing you around the ice.
Yeah.
Like, he was forgetting
No, he
to
couldn't
play.
even play.
play.
And
Yeah.
it's a 1-goal game at times, and he's not paying it. He's so pissed off by you. And I used to always wonder, like, what the fuck is he saying to this
Yeah.
guy?
It was I think with me, it was always the commitment to never stopping.
Mhm.
It was like there was never a line, and it was, the thought was, okay, that's enough. It was never, it was like not even close to being enough.
Yeah.
We're going to be here for another 40 minutes. Like, I'm not stopping. And I've never seen anyone with that type of commitment where I also wouldn't worry about, you know, anyone getting sick of it around me, or I always believed it was going to work no matter what.
Yeah.
And even if it backfired one game, maybe I took a penalty or I got a guy fired up and he was like, fuck you, I'm going to stuff it down your throats. It always prevails.
Right.
It always,
Everybody is that deaf kid.
Right.
right. Yeah. That's the
It's
interesting
the moral.
Yeah.
analogy of the whole thing.
Yeah. It's crazy though, but you know, we'd watch these things. They would show like people mic'd up.
Yeah.
You know, and Rangers had it all the time. It was never you.
The
Never had a fucking
NHL, they never. And that was, I know for a fact that was protocol from the NHL for any national game, NBC game. They were literally, I mean, NBC tried to mic me every fucking time we had an NBC game. There was actual emails and it was protocol that I would never be mic'd.
Right.
And it wasn't because the NHL didn't want to do it because they didn't want to make me famous, or they didn't want to show even some of the stuff that I'd say that was funny.
Yeah.
You know, that wasn't profanity laced
Right.
or you know, it was kind of comedic. So
Because it actually did. It was on NBC once. It was going to commercial break, and you looked up, and it was fucking so clear. You heard I don't know who it was. You just said you out of shape fucking pig, and then it went to commercial. I was like, this guy's the best.
yeah, because sometimes it would pick up the we have the mics behind the nets.
Right.
Or in between benches. Sometimes, like always, when Pierre Maguire would be in between benches, he would, because they couldn't turn his mic off in case he would have to say something. So he would stand and he would always put his hands on his lapel, because I would sit at the end of the bench and I would just be like, fuck you, fuck this pig, fuck him, he fucked her. So if he didn't put his hand over his mic, everybody would be able to hear it.
That's great.
So
Great.
yeah, no, that was pretty funny.
That's
Yeah.
so all right. So let's get to that part about the league, because I wanna kind of talk about what kind of phased you out.
Yeah.
And it was I know a lot of it was Tortorella.
Yeah.
I had a feel. I always blame Tortorella and Bettman.
Yeah.
But again, I haven't listened to that part.
Yeah.
So you what happens when Tortorella comes in? Like how does it change things for you?
Yeah, I mean he was just a jerk. He was a jerk off.
What did you
right
think of
from
Rennie as a coach actually before?
He was great.
He was, right?
He was great because he let the room handle themselves. He was very similar to what I think this Vigneault is to a certain extent. But Tom, he would make guys accountable. He's just like a good dude that respected his players, and that's what makes great coaches. Like a guy like Bill Belichick, he doesn't fuck with guys on all the stupid small shit. He doesn't care about anything other than you come and play hard for me in my system. That's all I want. I don't want to be your buddy. I don't want to know what you're doing at night. I don't care about anything. Just come and do that. And Tom was very similar to that. And he respected guys and treated guys like men. Tortorella was a jerk off from the start. He was a power hungry fucking midget that literally can't skate or pass a puck, which
And he was a defenseman, wasn't he?
I don't know.
No
In where? For
That's
who?
what I heard.
Yeah, I mean, his fucking Pee Wee team and wherever he's from, I don't know. I mean, there's two coaches I've had that could not skate. I'm not talking like you couldn't put them on a bad beer league team in fucking Boise, Idaho. They were so bad. They couldn't handle a puck. They can't take a pass or. How the fuck do you coach an NHL team if you can't understand? Like you don't know the small nuances of being a hockey player. So you come down on the bench, you're screaming at fucking Mark Stahl because he turned the puck over. You don't understand that at that moment he lost an edge because you don't even fucking skate with edges. You look like a 12-year-old skating. So when that's the case, players immediately they have zero respect for you.
Right, so it starts.
Here's the difference. Scotty Bowman couldn't really skate. he'd come on the ice and sit in a fucking chair and and teach us practice. He wasn't like that's the type of difference of like a guy like Murray and Tortorella. Tortorella also from the moment I got there, it was every day was like, how do I not let him catch me doing something that he wants to make up as some new rule
To
or
fucking torch you.
yeah, I mean, it was just like it was just the clock was ticking on like how long I was gonna last with.
So
with
was
him.
he? And I'm a little foggy on this part. So was he after you came back from Dallas? Or
Yeah.
So he was.
It was right at the same time.
Because I do remember he was on TV talking shit about you
Yeah.
when he was a commentator,
Right.
and then he became the coach.
Right.
And you came in. Now, when you went to Dallas,
Yeah.
I said to Jack, he'll come back.
Mm-hmm.
I hope, because I was hoping. I
Yeah.
didn't fucking know shit,
Yeah,
but I
me
was
too.
hoping. And yeah, so you did. So what happens? Why are you traded to Dallas in the first place? What happens? What's the
Well, I
reason
signed
you
as a
get it?
free agent in the
Oh, you
summer.
signed. That's
Yeah.
right.
But he said specifically, not to cut you off, but he said Avery's gonna go to Dallas, do something to get in trouble, and
Yeah.
we're gonna get him back for half the price.
Right.
And it was like fucking. He predicted the future.
It's
'cause-
one of the few smart things I've said in my life.
No, that was a situation where I literally the whole sloppy seconds thing. I knew.
For the people who are listening, let's roll that back a little
Because that
bit.
was
So-
fucking hilarious.
Yeah, well, I was 2 months into playing for Dallas. Things were at the point where it was. I couldn't keep playing there.
Mhm.
It was either I was just they were gonna trade me. We were on our last legs.
Who was the
both.
coach over there?
Tippett.
Dave Tippett.
Okay.
Dave Tippett like brought me over to dinner at his house. His wife made dinner. It was like so bad. It was that the last thing that a coach always does this. He tries to bring the player over and see his family and like hopefully there's that connection of a bond all of a sudden.
Right.
That's what coaches do. I was I was like, I took half a Xanax. I think I went over there and I was just thinking, when the fuck am I going to be able to leave type of thing.
Yeah.
That was the whole thing with me in Dallas. I was just never going to work.
Right.
And we go to Calgary. Dion Phaneuf's playing on the other team. He's dating my girlfriend, my former girlfriend of like 2 years.
Alicia Cuthbert,
Ali-
which you can tell, like in the book, you really did love her. Like you
Yeah,
had a
no,
fond
we had,
affection for
yeah,
her.
we had a fantastic relationship. We had a ton of fun. I got traded to New York. She was living in LA. We were 24 or 25, I don't know, something. We were kids. A relationship's not going to last at that point unless you get married. So
Yeah.
whatever, we move on. The media tries to build this whole thing up of me against Phaneuf, like I don't know, we're fighting for this girl or something. I mean, it's just like weird. That's
Right.
Canadian media. I mean, I've never really seen it before where media's put attention on a matchup because a guy on the other team is hitting your former girlfriend.
Right, which
I mean,
basic-
I don't know what is it. It's like the craziest thing I've ever heard.
Yeah, which is the same exact thing that the NHL didn't want.
Right.
Yet,
Yeah.
yet the media is doing. You're not doing it.
No,
and then
yeah.
they put it in your face.
Right.
Because I saw the interview. Everybody did.
Yeah. So there was a moment I remember Brad Richards was playing on the team, and I went in and behind the curtain in the locker room, and I said to Richie, I said, "What do you think? You think I should do it?" I said, "I'm gonna go out there and say something about Phaneuf and my sloppy seconds." He was like, "You won't fucking say that in a
now
million
it's a
years, you
dare.
pussy." Yeah. So then it's like triple, double, dog, dare you, throw it over my shoulder. You'll never do it in a million years. So I was like, "Fuck you." Yeah. Okay, Richie, wait. I flipped the curtain back. I walked out, and it was the famous like, "Is that camera on?" They're all scrambling.
That
like,
was the best part.
who are gonna get the
You're
camera
like, get
on?
ready.
Yeah.
Here it comes. It's coming.
I said it. I got on the bus to go back to the hotel, and I could literally see it was like in a movie. Everybody's phones start lighting up.
Jesus.
I got back to the hotel. I ate. I went up to my room. The phone rings. It's Hully. He's like, we just both sort of started laughing. He said, just fucking pack your bag. fly back to New York. Like,
Really?
don't even go to. He said don't. It was don't even go to Dallas and get your clothes.
No shit.
We'll ship them. We'll figure it out. I mean, we both knew at that point.
But so you think deep down you were just looking for
Subconsciously, no question about it. I've always been very good at willing things to happen just by thinking about them. I know that sounds crazy and hokey, but I always could pull it off. And that I pulled off. I mean, there was also nowhere else I was going to be able to go.
So how does that happen now? Does Sather call you? Does Sather call your agent? You also talk about your agent a little bit, like with a little disdain that he really didn't do much for you.
It was actually more through. There's a guy on the Rangers that wields a lot of power that no one has any idea who he is, and it's the
PR guy.
Yeah, John Rosasco.
Yeah, I heard that part.
And
It's crazy.
he's connected to everyone, and he's pulled more strings in the sense of pointing the organization in a direction player wise than anyone in the history of that team.
Wow.
As much as no one behind the scenes as much as he has.
That's nuts.
Fucking crazy.
Yeah.
Is he a hockey
Yeah,
guy?
that's what we
Yeah, I
like.
mean, no.
Right.
He
So
also
what
can't
the
skate,
fuck?
but he's worked for the team for 25 years. He does know a lot about the game.
Right.
And he was one of the reasons I got here the first time and came back. So Glenn finally, it's like timing and lighting. I don't know. My agent finally picked up the phone and calls Glenn, and
Do you call your agent and say, "Get me back to New York"?
yeah, we knew that was the only place that I was going to be able to go, and it was literally timing and lighting. We needed to wait till they lost a few games, and he picked up the phone. He called Glenn. Glenn was like, tell him to meet me at Smith and Walensky's on Tuesday. So I fucking 12:30 at Tuesday, I go to Smith and Walensky's, sit down. Glenn makes me like do the regular spiel of I'm a changed man. I made a mistake. I run, not because Glenn wants to hear something like that, just because he likes torturing people.
Okay.
And he really wanted to just torture me and
Well, a
hear
little
me
bit,
say
yeah.
it. And
Okay.
I need to kiss the ring a little bit.
Because you had to kiss the ring the first time. You mentioned that you go out to
Right.
So Brendan Shanahan
Yeah.
brought you here in a way, in a roundabout way. But he couldn't just bring you here. You had to sit down and prove that you were not a fucking psychotic.
Yeah.
Just-
It was during the All-Star break, so I went out with a couple of guys, him and some of the guys on the team.
Morosco's there as well.
He was there. Yeah, he was there. Yeah. Jed Ortmeyer. There was a bunch of guys.
A Holwig,
there.
you said it.
Yeah, Holwig, yeah.
But you say even Shanny's like trying to give you IQs, not. But like we weren't that type of guy off the ice that would have done anything, said anything.
No,
out of
I mean,
sorts anyway.
I'm certainly better in social settings than any of those fucking guys. So, yeah, no, it's just that whole thing of that hockey mentality, you know?
Yeah, but Shanny doesn't give a fuck though.
No,
right?
but he knows how to play the game.
Right. He's
Right.
playing
And
both
that's-
sides. That's
yeah.
why he's a great
Right,
fucking
that's why,
president now.
exactly. Yeah. So he was always very good at that, and that was a moment where I had to do the dance. And I can always turn that on when I need to.
Yeah.
And then so fast forwarding to the whole situation with Glenn, I needed to do it at that point. And then he fucking fires Tom at the same moment, and then brings in Tortorella, who,
First time you meet Tortorella,
Whatever.
is he starting right away with you?
oh yeah.
What
yeah.
happens?
Oh, it was just like it was like walking into a room where a guy wants to show you how big his dick is.
Okay.
It's like putting it on the table, and he keeps pointing at it. Like, look how big my dick is. You need to understand how big it is. I was like, okay, I get it.
Okay.
You got a big dick.
Yeah, right, we
Like,
got it.
can I go now? That was the whole thing for 4 years.
So does he actually tell you like, I don't want any of that shit?
Oh yeah.
Right,
Oh no,
so
it was
right away.
it was like if I'm the boss and if you get out of line, I'll fucking bury you type thing.
See, we had a feeling.
From the
Yeah.
get-go.
Yeah.
And the whole thing with him literally was like the better I played, the less ice time I got. And that was just this dance of like up and down the whole time. And so then it got to the point. Really, the turning point was when Bugard died, and that following season, I was just like, I don't like.
You lost.
What am I gonna do? Am I gonna fucking go play in Calgary?
Yeah.
Right.
At that point, I had played 12 years. I don't know. I was
So
done.
did they basically tell you that, did Tortorella tell you they didn't want you back? Because I know they sent you down, right?
Yeah, they sent me down at the start of the season, and then I don't know, they were losing, so then I came back up, and
So at what
I
point
think I played 12 games.
So Tortorella's probably overriding Sather's.
That's the thing. Like,
Will
Well,
at
so
this point, right?
Where's Glenn?
Glenn's whole thing with he doesn't once he gives the reins to a coach, the coach has the reins until Glenn either fires him or he fires him.
Right.
He's a very loyal guy when it comes to that. He doesn't meddle in the it's to a fault to
Right,
a certain
right,
degree. Like I don't know, Wade Redden, for
Right.
example.
Yeah.
Or some of
All
those
of them.
situations where
Yeah.
Glenn made a commitment and he rides it out. And that's
right.
one of his best qualities and worst qualities.
Yeah.
So yeah, he couldn't do anything. He just couldn't.
Yeah. So that's
He never stepped up, and I know that he doesn't do that in other situations. So what was I gonna say?
Yeah. The frustrating part though is as a fan is everyone
Mhm.
knew
Yeah.
that it was a stupid move.
Yeah.
Everyone, because the team was playing soft again. I'm
Yeah.
not saying that the guys are soft. I'm just saying that the collection of a team has no fucking ball.
Yeah.
There's
Well,
no ball.
it was a perfect example, like summarize how much of a shit brain Tortorella is he scratches me in the Washington game 2 in the
Right.
in Washington or
No
game
sense.
4. He scratches me because he says I'm undisciplined. This is the same game that this fucking little midget grabs a hockey stick and goes over the fucking glass and hits a fan, right? And gets suspended, and he can't even coach the team the next game. So, like, you know, the guy was every player on that team. I mean, everyone hated him.
Yeah.
Just has a
Wow.
Everyone
jerk off
hated him.
face too. You just
Yeah.
want to fucking
Even during like post game interviews and
He
stuff,
just
he
took
was
so
so
much-
fucking rude.
Yeah, he was
Yeah.
rude to everyone.
Yeah.
Terrible to like
Larry
the type
Brooks,
of guy that like, you know, would yell at the locker room attendant.
Right.
I mean, the
Yeah, like the
fucking
guy's
heart
trying
and
to help.
soul,
Right.
Yeah.
the people that you'd never, that sort of thing. And Lundqvist,
Right. Despise them. Right.
well, he's the one that once Hank
Right.
at the end of the season, and I've never heard Hank. He doesn't know like what color the sky is most days.
Right.
He's
He does
so
seem like a-
fucking
yeah.
focused on what he does. He doesn't. You could literally shoot somebody in a 10-foot vicinity of him before a game, and he wouldn't even know it happened. So when he actually stood up and was like, "This guy's gone," that was it.
Right.
Oh, so he
was
said
gone.
he said
yeah,
that.
for sure.
So I'm guessing so then it was the whole team. Then no one really.
Then it was 15 other guys walked in and was like, I mean, I thought Marion Gabrick. So I was just gonna use a terrible analogy of like, but I thought Marion Gabrick was gonna show up to the rink one day, and just take his skate and decapitate Tortorella.
Why? Well, he was
Oh,
really
he
on him that
fucking
hard.
hated him. Hated him.
Yeah, I mean, but look
Despised
at
him.
his style of play is an elite goal scorer.
Yeah.
And, like he's like, go block
yeah, you
shots.
would block
Yeah,
shots,
like,
right?
what do
Like
you fuck-
who's like Marion
Yeah.
Gabrick's gonna block shots? He
Yeah.
scored 43 goals that year or something. He was
Right,
trying to
you're
get
gonna
him
get
to
him
block
hurt. Yeah,
shots.
yeah.
I
fucking
mean,
hurt.
it was retarded.
Yeah,
Retarded.
it is fucking stupid. And you know, you should know, and I'm sure you've been told this a million times, but we knew. The
Yeah.
fans knew how fucking stupid it all was.
Yeah.
It didn't make any sense.
Yeah.
It never did.
Yeah.
So you're gone. You decide you're done. I
Yeah.
think the quote was, I remember reading it, and it kind of broke our hearts. Is I'm going to throw my fucking skates in the Hudson
Yeah.
River was the quote.
Yeah.
So you were done.
Yeah. No, I was done. I mean, I still haven't skated.
Wow, you have
that right?
ever since? No,
No.
way.
I
And
don't
you
even
had a
know
lot
what
of
it appears.
hockey. You had a lot of hockey left if you wanted it.
Yeah. No. Oh, especially now.
Yeah.
Oh God, I'd be
Right.
so good now in this league.
Making
It's
so much
fucking-
money, right?
So easy to play. Nobody hits.
No.
Eh.
All
so
it is
soft,
just
man.
about skating.
So soft.
Whoever's the best skater, you can pass. Yeah, but that's just like, it's how it goes.
Yeah. So you think like the league was behind a little bit too, because you're saying, I remember you talking about Colin Campbell was disciplining you for things that really
Yeah,
didn't
they were
deserve
always it was always like this whole thing of getting one step ahead of me.
Yeah.
And then I would kind of figure out a way to kind of get a step ahead of them, but that stuff was all fun to me. I liked that stuff.
The thing that bothered me, and again, I'm sorry to cut you off,
No.
but like the way you played, you were a clean player. Like you might have talked shit to people, but you weren't fucking pile driving them into the board.
I never got suspended.
No
We're-
Brad
you know-
Marchand, like that piece
No.
of shit.
Yeah, well, Matt Cook, right? Like dirty as
I
they
never
fucking
got
came.
suspended.
Right.
My whole career.
That's what really agitated
I got
me.
suspended for the sloppy
Sloppy
seconds.
seconds,
comment.
right? The one
I
thing.
got suspended and sent to rehab for 30 days.
Nah, that was great. That place sounded fucking
Wait,
nice.
yeah, no,
by
it's
the way.
beautiful.
Right?
So wait, what was the rehab? Was it like they didn't think you were on
But you
drugs or
had to
anything,
pay
right?
for that, right?
No,
No.
no, God,
Was
no.
it anger management?
That's what
Yeah.
they called it.
Mm.
I remember I got to the rehab facility and they you got to check in and they take it's like a piss test to make sure that what you got. They want to see what you have in your system, and I my buddy, two of my best buddies in LA because it was in Malibu. So my LA buddies picked me up at the airport. We fucking smoked a big fat joint and went to In-N-Out Burger. And I rolled into the rehab place like, this is awesome.
Still smoke
I'm
coming
here to
out.
manage Django. What's up?
I'm ready. And they were like, I don't know, after a couple of days, they were like, we don't really know why you're here.
Right.
But I guess just hang
Grind it
out.
out,
Do whatever. So,
And that's really what they told you, just hang out.
yeah,
And you
that
make
was it.
You make a good point though. Is like they sent you there, and you took a spot from someone that might have actually needed it.
It was so
like stupid,
obnoxious
yeah.
and like fucking no one really thought that through.
Right.
It was really
Fucked up.
stupid.
Yeah.
It wasn't cool also because like I'm sitting in a room with 13 or 14 people. The girl beside me's been fucking raped by her uncle since she was 3 years old.
Right.
And then they get to me
Right.
and I'm like, I said something about my ex-girlfriend
Right.
on national
Right.
television
Right.
and a fucking sport.
Right.
So
Right.
it was a crazy thing. The other crazy thing was my roommate there. I can't say who it was, but nobody has won more Academy Awards and Grammys than him together combined.
That's
Okay.
insane.
And
That's insane.
I had no idea who he was for the first 4 days because he was in such like bad shape and he's
Wow.
much older. He ended up being like a super cool dude, but those rehab facilities out there are just ridiculous.
Yeah, you're,
they're
like,
like out of a
overlooking-
fucking
yeah.
movie.
Right. It's just
I mean,
like a
it's
resort more
yeah,
than anything
yeah,
else.
no, it's
Well, it was like
it's
60
$30,000
grand,
a week or some crazy
Jesus
shit.
Christ.
Yeah, it's wild, and you can get any drug you want out there, and you can do whatever you want the whole time you're
I need
there.
to go to rehab.
Yeah,
Sounds fucking awesome.
it's a vacation.
Do you have a little more time? Or it's up to you.
Yeah, what do you? I mean, yeah.
All right, so let's do this. I wanted
Well,
to.
no, tell us what Henrik looks like.
naked.
You mentioned that. You talking about Tortorella being big dicks, right? Then,
Yeah,
Then you
no,
mentioned
Hank has the biggest dick I've ever seen.
Really?
Well, what
That's how he stops it.
What's
That's
it
how he
like-
stops
what's
the
it-
puck.
is
what's
it like
it-
a Monster Energy? Like, what are you thinking?
It's yeah. No, it's a Monster Energy pre-arousal.
Jeez.
Look, she's at a loss for words
Wow.
here.
So-
Because I read that in the book.
Where do you
Like,
think that
'cause
can go?
You've
I mean,
probably
it's
seen so many in that locker
no,
room.
it's huge, huge.
You think his brother Joel has the same wanker?
I would
They're
think
twins.
so.
Could you imagine if Joel had a small one?
I played with Joel in Dallas, and actually, I don't even remember. No, he doesn't.
He doesn't?
No,
He doesn't?
Hank's
That's
like
fucked up.
And they're
it's an
twins. What a
anomaly.
bust.
It's an anomaly.
Dude, that's crazy.
It's so.
crazy.
It's so.
They're fraternal.
It's too big.
That's
If
amazing.
you've ever, if
like
anyone could ever
home.
say that, it's too big. And he plays like that. He plays like that.
That's how he stops the puck.
Yeah.
His fucking third leg. His third leg.
What doesn't he have?
Nothing.
Yeah, right.
Everything.
What doesn't
He's
he
got
have?
it all. Ferraris, money.
Well,
Beautiful. He's
Fit, yeah.
his wife is beautiful.
He doesn't have a Stanley Cup.
I was just gonna say.
He needs one, man.
Right.
He deserves
do you
one.
wear the ring?
No.
You don't, right?
That's
It's
the
fucking
most
god
god
awful.
awful. The whole thing about these sports rings that they give teams when they win, it's retarded. I mean, it's literally the stupidest. You won, so we're gonna give you the biggest, ugliest ring that we could possibly make, so that you can never wear it anywhere.
That's amazing.
Big, gaudy, ugly fucking.
I mean, you see, like when Tom Brady puts 5 rings on his hand,
Yeah.
he can't lift his hand up.
Yeah.
It's so stupid. But that's sort of the mentality with sports, and that just wears on you. And it kind of like that whole mentality when you're living it, it kind of just gets old.
Yeah.
What do
It's-
you still have your ring? Where do you keep it? Like in a sock drawer or something?
you know what's funny? No, you know what's funny? I have it's wrapped in a what's the things you guys wear under your
Stockings?
yeah,
Oh,
it's
like a
it's
pantyhose?
a pantyhose. I have it in a pantyhose, and I knotted one end of it, and it's in a drawer.
That's great.
And they say you have no respect for the game.
Yeah, right.
Hold on one
I
second.
shoulda
Rob.
wore it.
I want to hear about Bashir's terrible breath.
Oh,
you don't
God.
know that. You don't know this,
Oh fuck, he could
right?
Bashir.
No, it was so bad on the bench. We used to have to rub the Vicks under our nose.
Like it's
Like
a
a morgue.
cadaver.
Yeah.
And is watching his Great Danes ball
He was-
sack.
Yeah, in one time when I walked in, he's in the shower with his Great Dane.
Great
Okay.
Dane.
Dane? They're both naked. I don't know. The dog doesn't wear clothes, but washing. They're fucking showering, washing, sudsing. They're all sudsed up.
Dude, I hated that.
That's the weirdest
motherfucker.
thing I've. Yeah,
Hated him.
he was a weirdo. Such a weirdo. Just like. I don't know, what was he doing on the team? I don't know.
He was
That
like
was like a
fucking 50.
weird.
Yeah, it
just
was
like
so
he didn't,
stupid.
and he didn't even fight when he got to
No,
us. He
sucked,
lost every
sucked.
fight.
Carpenter beat the shit out of him, and I know that's, the punch that
Yeah,
fucked up
that's what,
Boogie.
that's what did Boogie in. That was I was on the ice for that. That was a big punch,
Oh man, speaking of that,
but not as big as Colt Nor when he hit Fedor.
I was there, and
was-
it was one of the things that I'll always take with me.
Oh,
Being at a game, because
I thought
like
he
you
was
said,
dead.
Same thing. Like I was behind the net, right where the punch landed, and I was like, "Holy fuck, he killed him!" I
Yeah.
thought his head fell off.
Colt Nor is the toughest guy.
I love that guy.
Yeah, he
Love
was
that
the best tough guy ever. He was so fucking tough. Oh my god.
Yeah.
I mean, that was a punch where I don't know if anyone else is on the other end of that. Maybe they're
Make it.
dead. If there was ever anybody that was going to kill somebody in the NHL,
It would have been called
he
Mark.
had the type of power that could have killed somebody.
No shit.
And he just like, you could not beat him. When he was in his prime fighting,
Yeah,
he was a fucking animal. It was looking at like, you were looking
Right.
at death
Right.
in the eyes. He's going to fucking punch your head off.
and you said that after that fight,
Yeah, that was also,
it-
it was just like, Jesus, I
Right.
don't know. It was like, fuck.
because
I loved fighting,
right.
but I
was-
also didn't fight those types of
Right.
guys.
This was
Like,
different.
it was
You
not-
mentioned that too with Darcy Hardachek being like a big meat. I'm gonna fuck you
Yeah, he's
up.
gonna fight me. It's like,
Right.
dude, I'm not gonna fight you. I'm not a fucking retard.
yeah, that's so funny.
Like, why would I fight you?
Yeah, it's great.
You're gonna kill me. I don't need to show you how big my dick is by fighting you.
Dude, it's great. That's what makes you fucking special. And then you mentioned Barnaby when you were in LA, you were fucking with Yager. And Barnaby's like fucking, just like a total meathead,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Can't hurt that guy. Can't do
No, he was. Yeah, Barnaby's nuts. Like
That's
that's one
great.
guy. He just doesn't not stop talking, but there's not a lot of method behind it. That's kind of like it's just like
remember that.
Cursing at you.
fucking does not stop. You're kind of like, how do I get away from this?
So you know what it's like to be chased by you. In a way.
Yeah, but
No, but
it's more.
Sean's-
Yeah, it's like
Yeah.
I don't know if your fire alarm wouldn't stop in your apartment and you had to stay home for the night. That's
Understood.
what it would be like.
All right, so let me ask you a couple of these quick questions.
Yeah.
All right, these are rapid fire ones here. Who's a player you wanted to fight but never got to do it? That you really wanted to kick the shit out of?
Matt Cook,
Matt Cook.
definitely.
Yeah, he was a dirty fuck.
Yeah.
And you loved kicking the shit out of
Who
Mike Richards, did you
also
say at the beginning?
very interesting, married his billet from Junior. So I used to kill him on that. So you know that you
Wait,
live with the
Cook did
family.
that?
Yeah, you
Oh,
live with the.
shit.
So
Yeah.
did Ruslan
Yeah,
Fedotenko,
that's-
which is so fucking weird.
And she was old, right?
Yeah. It was like having one of our moms in the out with us.
And he's hitting that.
Yeah. So yeah, Matt Cook.
All right. What out of all the insults you threw out, what was the one you take the most pride in? Like, I really fucking got to him.
Oh God. Oh.
There's too
There's just too
many.
many.
Concern for the kids is pretty good.
That was really
Yeah.
good.
Who told the kid? That's
I
pretty
think
bad.
Sean's
there was
like, is that your nephew or your kid?
yeah. There was one this fucking guy, what was his name? Oh man. There's a guy I played against in my first year in Cincinnati. He had really bad acne, and he also had bad scarring from his acne.
Right.
And I remember I came up with it. I always loved it. I always thought about it. I was like, God, that was so funny. It was like my moment where I was like, man, you're a real funny guy, Sean. I told him he should let his dog lick his face, not fucking chew on it. Yeah.
That's funny.
It was mean.
All right. What was the one player you couldn't rattle that you tried, you just couldn't get to him?
Oh, Chris Chelios.
Chelios.
Impossible.
Yeah. Okay.
Impossible.
I met Chelios, man. He's an intimidating looking
Yeah,
fucking guy. You
yeah,
can see his
yeah.
face is all mangled and he's just fucking.
Right. The Godfather.
What was there ever a player that said something that actually rattled you? Well, you're thinking of one. Like,
He's
see
not
it.
gonna-
I don't
gonna
think
say it.
so.
You
No,
know.
I don't.
Oh,
You
you
know,
know.
you can't think of it.
Honestly, I wish.
All right. All right.
I can't. Yeah.
Anyone that you feel bad about now, that you like actually feel bad, like you said it.
Pizza face.
No, he loved that. Are you kidding?
That's one.
No.
All right. Who do you think's the most overrated player?
Oh man, overrated player currently?
No, when you played.
When I played, most overrated player was oh fuck. Shit.
How about the three guys that the Rangers signed? Redden, Gomez.
I always
and-
thought Drew Doughty was overrated,
Right.
but we didn't play them that much.
Yeah, so you didn't get to see him.
So yeah, I don't know.
Well, this answer is going to be pretty obvious. Most overrated coach.
Most overrated coach. I don't think he gets a lot of credit though. Tortorella.
Not anymore. He maybe did when he
yeah.
won, but not anymore.
Dude, is he ruining Dubinsky? Is that what?
Yeah,
the fuck's
there's
going
a
on?
whole bunch of shit going on behind the closed doors that I don't think I don't know what's going on, but yeah, he's trying to bury Dubinsky, and I think something went down in Vegas where maybe they had a standoff.
I saw you stick up for him on Twitter
Or
too.
yeah,
for
well, that
Doobie.
was like a crazy.
They should bring him back here, man.
Some writer writes. I don't know. It
Oh
was
yeah,
something.
Adam Porzine, right?
Yeah,
Like,
he says that Dubinsky's career might be over,
Right.
or
Right.
Yeah.
whatever he did. Like I don't know, these fucking some of these beat writers or these
Oh, they're the worst.
bloggers that turn into
Right.
beat writers are
Right.
like the worst. The old school beat writers are great. They're great writers. You see them in New York.
Yeah,
But
Brooks,
these guys
yeah.
that like bloggers that turn
Right.
into writers, it's
Right.
a whole other thing.
Right.
Yeah. Well, Sean, I can't thank you
Yeah, man,
enough.
thanks for
Like I
having me.
said, we could keep you here for 5 hours,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
it's not. You can't leave it up to us.
I'm gonna call you when we get out of
He's gonna be like, you up? Yeah, if you don't mind,
No,
we
thanks
just
for
would like
having
to
me.
do a quick idea or two, take some pictures, and then
Yeah, let's
we'll
do it.
leave you alone.
Let's do
But
it.
I want everybody to pick up the book, Ice Capades, Sean Avery. I'm telling you, this is a great fucking book, whether you loved him or hated him. Fantastic. Just you learn so much about hockey and the inner workings and what goes on and what made you tick too, which is really, really good.
You got to
So-
finish it now.
Well, I will. Now I'm going
Right.
to go back to New York. That's the one part I waited on. But thank you again,
Thanks,
Sean. I
guys.
appreciate it. Thank you
Appreciate
for
it.
listening to the whole, and later, motherfuckers.